Toastmasters. Toastmasters for me is helping other people achieve success, to become the people they were meant to be, but they didn't know.
Mm.
My own path has been long and arduous, and as everybody's has, I've learned a lot along the way, including what you are teaching me this year. Back to you.
Oh, thank you. And let's go to Janet. I don't know if all of you know her, but I think she's been around your district for a while, even though she's new in the club growth director job.
Thank you, Pamela. I'm Janet Saracen, and Pamela's right. I've had the club growth director job for 2 months and 4 days. So I started out this year as the lead person for new club growth, and then came in to this position. But I've also had I was the admin, I was the SAA for the district. I've held every office in both of my clubs that I'm still active in, and I enjoy it. So I like to be, well, one man told me one time that I like to sit in the small chair. So he carved me a small wooden chair, which I still keep today. But really, I like to motivate people from behind the scenes, and I think that's why he gave me that award.
All right.
Back to you.
So you're like the Wizard of Oz. You're behind the curtain.
Yeah, I am behind the curtain a lot of the time.
Pulling all the strings. Okay, got it. All right. And if we're going to go alphabetically, let's go with Diva Donna. What what motivates you to keep going, or what has been your aha moment in leadership?
If I am to be totally honest, my aha moment is when Phyllis calls, I'm just a girl who can't say no.
Sounds
It's
like
I've
Kansas.
gotten so much out of my Toastmasters journey. I'm a Toastmaster 20 something, but really it's the people I've met along the way. That's my biggest takeaway from Toastmasters.
I would agree. It's a great group of people with a common goal in mind of just being better than we were yesterday, right, Donna? That's great. Okay, division. We don't have a B. We have to go to C now.
Yeah, he's not here today. You have about 3 minutes left on the intro part.
Okay.
So
PJ.
I guess I'm up. Yeah.
Yeah, go PJ.
I'm one of those people who kind of got drafted into the leadership thing. I joined a club and was asked if I'd fill an open treasurer position, and I did. And that's when they told me that the previous person left town and they had no idea how much money we had in the account and anything. So I went to the bank and got all that sorted out, and they were so impressed by that they made me president the next term.
Okay, so
I just never looked back, I guess. I've been area director and division director multiple times, and club officer almost every single term for the last 25 years. And I've been up the trio chain and back down now to division.
you've been everywhere, man. Yeah.
Yep,
You've
exactly.
had all the jobs, right? That's
Yep.
great. That's great. Let's go to Richard.
Yeah, thank you. I think, being in the club leadership, it's pretty straightforward. There's only so many of you and you move to that. But I think that taking that next step to the area, I resisted that for quite some time because of the time commitment. But when I did that as an area director, I think a couple, 2 to 3 years ago, it really opened my eyes to meeting new clubs. And so I think that's the part that I've enjoyed about the district level leadership is the interaction with more people and building a platform that allows other people to succeed. Contest organization can be pretty frustrating, particularly when you're chasing people. So that chasing part is no fun. But when it comes together and then people get to do their presentations on stage and the whole thing comes together, then you realize, makes you the rewarding part of why you're working on it. And then seeing other people step up to do things that they didn't necessarily think they could do. And that's just obviously a Toastmasters thing of people trying things for the first time and learning on the job. And so I think those different aspects is what I've appreciated in the role, and along with the frustrations of people. It's a volunteer organization with volunteer members, and people get a choice of whether they want to do what you ask them or not. And so you have to work within that framework.
You have less leverage. So I find chocolate works. All right. Division E, Patrick.
Yes, my name is Patrick Locke. I've been involved in Toastmasters for a little over 40 years here. My background professionally is in the construction industry. Used to run a lot of large commercial projects, and I have a military background. I was a combat infantry NCO in Vietnam. Had done a lot of consulting work over the years. When I moved up here to the Pacific Northwest, I've been more involved in Toastmasters, and I'm currently also the commander of the military fraternity here and on the board for the Veterans Advisory Board for Clark County in Washington here, which is a real demanding position that takes a tremendous amount of time with what we're doing with that. And I've been a division director twice before, area director, I think 4 times. So I've been involved in the district leadership for some time. This year has been a struggle for me because I've got a lot of commitments. And although I feel I've had some challenges in keeping up with my responsibilities here in Toastmasters, it's a stretch for me. It's been quite challenging because I've got a lot of commitments in here, but I'm enjoying what we're doing here. I believe in this, and it's something that I will be part of for a while.
Great. So far, we've got some pretty seasoned veterans in Toastmasters as well as military veterans, right? So all kinds of veterans here. And we'll get it more into the area director's reason for living in some of the next segments, because I see that we're ready to go into excuse me, the first part of our session, workshop, whatever, today. So I'm going to reset my timer and start it at 10 minutes for this segment. So there are many reasons. We're going to talk about common reasons that clubs have challenges. So what are some of the challenges that clubs have, and how can we help them? Because we're here to serve them. How can we help them move through that and move towards being a charter strength 20+ club, or at least a club that continues to draw members to their club? Excuse me. Get a little choked up here. So common reasons that clubs have struggles. Anybody want to put something in the chat, and Gabrielle, just let me know what they're talking about out there.
Okay.
Just something
You
that
want some
comes to mind.
response
What
to
are your
that?
clubs facing as
Oh.
far as challenges in their?
Well, I believe that one of the biggest challenges is the club cultures that we create, and that creating a culture of growth takes quite a bit. And I think that's bearing on how the meetings are run. So what a person is getting out of coming to, spending that hour and a half, whatever it is that they spend at a meeting, that they're really getting something out of that at a real core level.
So that
I
would be
think
meeting
that-
programming if you were going by moments of truth, right?
Mhm.
So you think sometimes it's meeting programming, club culture that causes a club to either thrive or not thrive.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else put anything in the chat?
Low membership, a couple of thumbs up on that one.
Okay.
And along with that is low attendance and low participation of the membership.
Ooh, members not participating. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody ever
And-
had a member that shows up only when they want to speak?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the pathways changes will cause them to move into meeting roles a little bit more?
Mhm. No.
I think you could motivate them to see the benefit in supporting their club that way. Because in the club mission, we said we provide a supportive learning environment, right?
Mhm.
So supporting means not just coming in here for you to get your speeches done, right?
Yeah.
So maybe pointing them to the club mission might help them see the benefit in supporting other people, because other people have been supporting them in their desire to move along in their speaking ability. So maybe pointing them to being a person that's in a supporting role as well. So sometimes if you flip the script on them and put the mirror up to their face, they'll see that, hey, maybe I'm not following the club mission, and maybe I need to get behind the Toastmasters promise.
That's
Right.
That's the key. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
teaching that Toastmaster promise is a real key element to the whole thing, because that covers everything. The
Because really,
Toastmaster,
if
all
you
10 elements of that Toastmaster promise
Yeah.
is significant to engagement.
Certainly. So if you remind people of why we're here, the club mission, and point them back to the Toastmasters promise, because they all filled out a membership application. That Toastmasters promise is right there. And it's almost like signing a contract. I promise to do
It's an
these
oath.
things as a member in Toastmasters.
Yeah, it's an oath.
Right. So I think if we could be more diligent about pointing people back to the why we're here, the mission of the club, and then having them fulfill the Toastmasters promise, wouldn't we have better programming and stronger clubs and people that are happier serving in roles at the meetings, have better meeting programming, all of that? Do you think?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
So I've been in two clubs that had problems with visitors just coming to speak. One of them was a club that had a member that would only show up to speak. Finally took him aside and had a one-on-one with him and said, not okay. And then my current club on a number of occasions was having people just visit to speak and wouldn't show for anything else and didn't join the club. Finally, the officers, we sat down and made a rule. You can visit and speak once. You can visit as much as you like, but you can only speak once as a visitor, and then you need to join the club.
All right. Well, sometimes it's great to have a guest speaker and put someone that maybe have your area director as your guest speaker to bring you some news from the outside world of Toastmasters, that sort of thing. Or maybe you have a contestant that you want to help them practice their contest speech or whatever that's not from your club, but you want to have that person in kind of as a guest speaker and to help give them feedback on their speech. But as a rule, I think membership has its privileges, and members should be given those speaking slots. And if your VPE is keeping track of who's been doing all the speaking, you can see who's not speaking and put them in as a speaker, and then who's not been the Toastmaster and put them as a Toastmaster instead of a speaker, whatever. The Free Toast Host website shows you when you select somebody for a meeting role, it shows you how many times they've done that meeting role. I was surprised the other day when I put myself in as Toastmaster. I had been Toastmaster 62 times. There's only 52 weeks in a year. All right. So what does that say? Nobody signed up to be Toastmaster in my club. So I started backing off of Toastmaster, and I made a few phone calls instead to encourage people to sign up as Toastmaster. But if you start looking at how many times you've done a certain role, maybe you want to start making calls for somebody else to do that role for a little while. And I even mentioned it in the meeting last time I was Toastmaster, that number was 62 by my name, and I was expecting somebody else to serve as Toastmaster in the next several months. So I hadn't realized that I had been the go-to Toastmaster. So I just have so much fun as the Toastmaster. So sometimes you need to look at yourself and say, are you the problem, part of the problem? Are you the ones always signing up for Toastmaster? But usually I was signing up for Toastmaster 2 hours before the meeting, not just hogging the Toastmaster role, but just filling in because nobody signed up for it. So there have been some changes made, I'll tell you that, in my home club. Any other things that maybe your club is facing, or clubs in your area or your division are facing, that you might want to workshop here today?
One other comment that came in, one of my clubs, a person quit because he was asked to take ancillary roles, only wanted stage time as a speaker. Yes, that happens. And then another person said, emphasizing the value gained by doing the other roles changes the focus. You grow as a speaker by being an evaluator. You run more effective meetings by being a timer or a Toastmaster. In my home club, many members seem more interested in doing other roles and table topics than preparing a speech. That's kind of what's going on in my club too. And somebody else says in both of my clubs, everyone fills the roles of Toastmaster and GED.
Okay. All right.
I think I read that wrong, but anyway, let me see. Phyllis, you want to re-say it so I
General
say it right?
evaluator? Is that what
Yeah.
GE?
General evaluator.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is we have a member who's in both of my clubs who will always fill the harder roles, Toastmaster, GE. So people tend not to fill those roles because they know she will.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You right, Phyllis?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
I assume that's not you, Phyllis, right?
No, it's someone else. But
Yeah.
I will do that too.
Yeah. In my club, I've been trying to speak education to motivate people to change roles. I haven't done this as much in my clubs as area director as much. But I think like it's good to have different people being Toastmasters, even if they're new at it. We had one, our most recent member be Toastmaster for the first time. There's some things we didn't explain properly, but it was a joy to see someone else go up and be Toastmaster.
So what do you think you as area and division directors can do to help clubs assess their programming?
One example that comes to my mind, there's one club that I visited that did table topics out of a box. They had cards and they'd always do it out of that box. So their table topics is always the same. And it felt reflective to me that that was how they did it. And one suggestion I had was, well, one, come up with their own questions, but also maybe like create cards with your own questions, add them in, take out some cards, so at least have some more variety in the questions, not as expected. I also served as their table topics master and showed them, okay, this is how I'd approach coming up with a list of varied questions. So I modeled that behavior and I gave them another suggestion to try out. So that's one thing I did for one of my clubs as an area director.
Good job. Thanks, Omar. PJ, were you saying something that we didn't hear? No? Okay.
But I have a thought on, I'm personally happy to see this recent changes to pathways where you have to fill meeting roles. And I have already seen that impact participation in my home club. Some of our newer members who are a little shy about stepping up to those more challenging roles have done them. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah, another thing that I do is in Free Toast, there's a role report function. And I've told our members, if you wonder how many times you've done a role or
Yeah,
how
that's what I
long
was
it's
talking
been,
about.
hit that and it'll tell you, it'll list the date and when you've done different roles.
Right, right. So if you take a look at that, even as a club officer, if you take a look at that report every once in a while, you can go call some people and say, you know what? You haven't even served as an evaluator once in the last 3 months. How about you be an evaluator next time? Or whatever it is that they haven't done. So, and maybe even do some training on things. So we had an infusion of 7 new members into my home club. So 7 new members at one time. You've got to do a lot of training, and we did an evaluation training. So after that, they all wanted to serve as evaluators. Well, now we got to get them to do their icebreaker speech. Come on, you got to do a speech too. So sometimes you push them in a direction, and that's where they go, and then you have to pull them back and teach them something new. So I think meeting programming and a little bit of training will help any of your clubs. And then maybe doing the moments of truth, help lead a moments of truth session for them to show what fellowship meeting programming, member recognition, and all of those things will do for the morale and the participation in your club.
And the VPE is supposed to be responsible for the schedule. They should be scheduling people, especially for the speaker roles and for the evaluator roles, the primary roles.
Mm-hmm. All right. So any other comments on how you, as district leaders, area and division directors, might help clubs with their meeting program or membership challenges or any of those things? How about you get on their agenda to speak? And if you see a gap, maybe mind the gap with one of those successful club series or better speaker series to teach them something about how to do the thing that you're trying to get them to do, right? How to do an open house or how to attract new members or even how to make a social media post to try to get new members.
One of the things that my club does is every year for about 3 months, we have you sign up for a role. You have to sign up for once in every role in the 3 months. And if you've signed up for a role, if you've signed up, I think there's 9 roles, including speaker and table topic speaker. As long as you've signed up and done each role once in the 3 months, then your name gets put into a raffle for a drawing. And our drawing has been rather lucrative. We have a couple people with businesses, and they donate their offerings. When one person owns a restaurant,
Oh, wow, cool.
she gives a gift certificate for dinner for her restaurant. And
how cool is that?
so that motivates people, especially for those 3 months, to sign up for all you have to do is sign up and do it once. And then the other thing we do that we talk about is we encourage new people to try over every role like 2 or 3 times in a row. Maybe not every week, but every other week, 2 or 3 times until they get a feel
to master
for
it a little bit better.
Yeah, and tell them not to worry about how bad they blow it the first 1 or 2 times. Just do it, and we'll help them out. And it's Toastmasters. One of the best days I had was I did an impromptu speech. Nobody was speaking. I said, sure, I'll speak. I did kind of a lousy job, and the president basically threw me under the bus about it. But he said, look, she's a DTM, and she still screws up once in a while. And that honestly opened the door for the rest of the members to go ahead and give a speech. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Just showing your foibles. It's okay. Everybody's.
Wendy has her hand up.
Wendy, hi.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Pamela, for helping us out today. One thing that I've done for our new members, whenever, and even seasoned ones, whenever I see maybe they could use some help on their role, is I've discovered lately, or should say belatedly, that the Toastmasters International has timer sheets and grammarian sheets and all these great tools to help you do your role. And one of the requirements for our meeting is that when you have the role, you stand up and you say what you'll be doing, why you're doing it, how it helps the members, that kind of thing. And those sheets actually have kind of some of that information in there. So it helps them formulate their thoughts, and it has some like little tally sections, and
Yeah,
it can
it's a
help them in
script
their
and
roles.
it's a script and log, right? To tell them what the role is and then how to tally the
Correct, yeah.
things.
They've
Right.
got different ones, so it's super helpful.
Right. There is, I don't know how many of you have seen the resource. It's called Club Meeting Roles and Build Real World Skills. I'm just going to show it on the screen right quick. Hang on. If I can get over here to the share button. This is a really cool tool because what it does, can you see that? How Club Meeting Roles build skills? Yes? Okay. So what it does is it goes through what is the skill, what are you doing, and what is the skill you're building? So if you were to share this with people, they would see how the different roles are building real world skills. And they might want to do it just to see if that will help them build the skills they want to build. So if they're setting some goals for themselves, they can look through these meeting roles and see what skills they're building with the different roles. And it might help them understand the value of serving in the different roles by showing them the transferable skills that they're going to be building in those roles. It's not just sitting there and listening or recording or reporting. It's actually building critical listening skills, critical thinking skills, writing. It's all kinds of things that are going on in these different roles. And you don't really associate it with transferable skills unless you sit down and think about it. So I think this is a really good tool for you to have as an area director, division director, and then encourage the clubs to make it available to their members, especially their new members in their new member orientation. Yes, Richard.
Yeah, and I think that example seems really good. And you can also, just like, Omar was mentioning about modeling behavior, you can take some of those real world things and say, I'm the grammarian or our counter today, and this is important because of, some of those real world skills. So you can highlight those things. So not only can you give the information, you can use your speaking role of introducing the role to reinforce some of those things.
Yeah.
And so I think even if you're inexperienced at the role, it's always fun to try the role in a different way. And I think that idea of doing it several weeks in a row, so you get to try something out and
Do a little bit
then
of a
learn
mastery
from
of
it.
it. Yeah.
Otherwise, if you only do it every 3 months, you're desperately trying to
It's
remember
always new. Yeah, it's
what did I
always
do
new.
that worked before. So you build up, and hopefully other people see something you did that worked well, and they'll model that behavior. And then if you see that, you could also use that as a way of providing some, positive feedback to them, so that it becomes a virtuous circle.
Yeah. Well, I did drop that in the chat for you all if you want to download that to have for a resource in your toolkit.
And I will try and see that it gets put on the D7 website under resources.
But that's just something that Toastmaster put out there recently, and I grabbed it and went, wow, I like this. All right. So really what we're talking about here is just doing some outreach to your clubs. Get personal with them. What do you need? What do you want? What do you want that you don't have? What do you have that you don't want? That sort of thing. And how can we help you rethink your programming? Because if it's the same old pie, if you're eating cherry pie all the time, prepared speeches, impromptu speeches, evaluation speeches in the same order, it's just going to be same meeting, different day, right? So how can you help them shake it up a little bit, put table topics first, or have 2 speakers and 6 evaluators, right? In the club that I'm in, we have a day where we have 3 speakers and 9 evaluators. And each evaluator is taking a piece of the evaluation, whether it's the project goals, the content, and the organization. So content, organization, and project goals. Each evaluator gets only 1 minute, and all they have to talk about is either the content, the organization, or the project goal, and how well the speaker met those objectives. It's challenging to do an evaluation in 1 minute and stay in your lane, because you really want to gravitate towards talking about all 3 of those things. So shaking it up a little bit for the evaluators, shaking it up a little bit for the speakers, and maybe rearranging things a little bit so it doesn't look like the same stuff different day. Yes, PJ.
We have a club called Feedbackers in our district, and we do that same sort of thing where a person gives a speech and then there are 3 evaluators, and usually one focuses on the objectives of the speech, the manual objectives, whatever, and one does the gestures and one does the vocal variety. We did a few things to make it more fun. The person doing vocal variety, for instance, turned their back so they didn't get to see anything. All they did was hear it. And the person who was doing gestures put on earplugs. So they had to describe what they saw. And some of them were hysterical because the gestures didn't match the speech. And that came out in the evaluation.
Oh, wow. That's telling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, that is fun. So yeah, bringing some of that to your clubs to say you can shake this thing up a little bit. Doesn't have to be the same pie every meeting. You can serve a little bit different dish at your different meetings, and have some specialty meetings where maybe all you do is 1 speaker and everybody's an evaluator, round robin style or whatever it is. Of course, now if you only had 1 speaker, you can't do that often because you want to get these people through the Pathways program. So if you only meet once a month, maybe 1 speaker isn't the way to go. But just shake it up a little bit, I think, is the message here, so that you create a fear of missing out. Because if every meeting is a little bit different, you're going to miss something if you miss that meeting. But if it's the same stuff every week, you're like, okay, I really don't have to come because it's going to be the same stuff. Omar.
Yeah, one thought for perspective that I think sometimes when we don't have a speaker, my club and I think other clubs tend to do table topics, and that can be different, but I think it can sometimes feel like, well, if you have it twice in a row, then it's like the cherry pie, like you're kind of sick of cherry pie.
Yeah.
And I noticed I'm a Toastmaster for my meeting on Monday, and I decided, I think I'll do a speech on pathways because I just did a project. I'll walk them through and help
great.
do it. I'll do what they gauge with humor. So I'll try to make it funny and informative. So that's one way that I
shakes it up a
thought
little
of.
bit, yeah.
Yeah, that's one way I thought of handling this myself.
Sure. All right.
So one of the things I did at one of my meetings, I belong to a corporate club, and the corporate club is a university. And so one of the members called and said she was going for her PhD dissertation. And the whole reason she was at Toastmasters was because she failed it the first time. So she goes, there's nothing we can do. And I said, yes, there is. And what I did is I got her to send me a long list of questions that she might get asked. And basically we acted like her PhD panel. And we spent the entire meeting just grilling her. And that's all we did for that meeting. And it was a lot of fun for us. She's like, you're
Mhm.
not going to understand what I'm talking about. We're like, no, that's not the point. The point is that you talk effectively. And
Yeah,
if you
well,
can't
and you
talk
get put on the
effectively to
spot.
us, you know, and I got a call 3 weeks after that meeting. She had passed her PhD. So
Ah, that's great. Wendy.
Yeah, just those that are pre-pathways, a reminder that the Better Speaker Series is still out there. And it's a great tool, especially for new members, because they don't, as good as Pathways is, it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
really,
probably want to have one of those at least once a
Mhm.
month.
yeah.
And especially
Recommend.
now that people are getting credit towards their pathways levels by doing those Successful Club, Better Speaker Series, you want to probably try to schedule those in your meetings so that people get exposed to the material and the training, as well as getting credit for doing the speech if they're doing the speech. And especially on a meeting where you don't have a lot of speakers signed up, you can do 10 minutes on one of those modules, those training modules. So that's how you kind of reach out, reignite, get some different programming and get some new energy and some fear of missing out. And then recognizing people that are achieving things, because everybody wants to know that you notice it when they do something well. And the more that we brag on or recognize achievements that are happening, then again, that's another one of those fear of missing out. If I'm not achieving something, if I'm not getting recognized for something I've achieved, then maybe I want to do something to get recognized for an achievement. And the more that you recognize those things that people are doing well, that's going to motivate others to be in that pool of people being recognized. So you create that environment where people want to excel and want to exceed your expectations, or at least set a goal and reach a goal. I'm one of those OD dog people that set a goal, reach a goal, you know, what's the next goal? Where am I going next? Right. So, and for those of you that don't know who OD dog is, he's the dog in Garfield that's always jumping around, hopping around, and Garfield's just laying there being a lazy cat. So I'm the OD dog looking for the next thing and the new thing. So creating that environment where people want to be more like the OD dog than the Garfield cat. So the next thing we want to talk about is pathways participation. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are stuck in a rut and want to say it's very scary, too hard. Very scary, too hard. Well, what I say to that is, what do you do at work when there's something new? Do you have the option of opting out of that? I don't think you do. And the more you do, the more you will learn. And the more you learn, the more confidence you will have in the thing that is set before you to do. So people that do not get into pathways do not know enough about pathways to even like it or not like it, to even have an opinion about it. So when I hear people bad-mouthing pathways, I'll say, and when was the last time you logged into pathways? And they don't want to answer that question. I said, well, then how do you know whether you like it or you don't? If you hadn't been in there in a while. Things have changed from 2017 when Pathways first rolled out. It's changed a lot. And it's changed a lot just in the last few months. So if you haven't been in there in a while, maybe you want to go diving in there and then see what you say about Pathways. So I've started a series of orientations on pathways in my club because we do have some new members, and inviting the other members to those sessions so that we can get people comfortable in learning how to navigate pathways. Because what it really is a fear of not knowing what to do. And the only way to get over that fear is to go do it. Just do it. And the more you do, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more confidence you have. The more confidence you have, the more you want to do it because it makes you feel good. But people that are not getting in there and not interacting with pathways and say they hate it don't even know what they're talking about because they haven't even been in there. So it's kind of a circular logic there that you need to break that cycle of let's just go in for 10 minutes and see what's in there. If you haven't enrolled in Pathways, let's get you enrolled in Pathways. Let's try it out and see what you think. So don't let people put one over on you and just say, nah, not for me. Well, it's not for you because you haven't even tried it. Let's try it. Let's get in there. And in my district, we have a lady that every Thursday of every week, and sometimes on Tuesday, she just has office hours where she's there and available to answer any question on Pathways. So maybe clubs need to get in the practice of providing a time for their members to get into Pathways. Just to show them the basics of how to select a path and how to do the icebreaker and mark it complete and how to do a meeting role and mark it complete. And maybe you do that as a part of your meeting programming for a while until people just get used to seeing it and doing it. Any thoughts on that? How to engage people in Pathways? Something you've done that's worked? Richard.
So if one of the things that I've tried to emphasize is that each of the projects gives you a task and it tells you this is a skill you're going to work on, and then it gives your evaluator something to give you some feedback on. And it could be a small thing, whereas if you just write a speech and give a presentation, it's a little bit like what was said earlier on or in the previous training. You're just speaking, but you're just making a talk and everyone enjoyed it. But what are you learning? And so it's just find out what there's a purpose. And so it's much easier to have a purpose than to just, it constrains you, and constraints are always good because it focuses your thoughts as to why am I doing this?
Give you some
and then you
focus,
get the evaluator, then you give some guidance to the evaluators. That also means as a speaker, make sure you tell your evaluator, what you want the
Oh,
areas to look
actually
at.
talk to your evaluator before the meeting? What?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then as a more experienced Toastmaster, I think just the idea of re-emphasizing these tactics and goals that people may take a bit of time to get to. And so you can use your presentations as training. It's still challenging to do it, and you get the goal of, I'm trying to use hand gestures or vocal variety or whatever, but you are using it as a way of getting people past roadblocks or explaining something that you think is important about the program.
Sure. And it points all the way back to the Toastmasters promise. I promise to do my speeches according to the Toastmasters International Education Program objectives. That's on the promise. That used to mean the CTM manual. Now it means Pathways, folks. That's the only educational program we have right now. It's Pathways. And if you want a manual, print it out. Put it in a binder. Flip those pages. I personally love it online because I don't have to keep track of that silly book. I was constantly losing that thing and having to start over on stuff. So I love having it online because it's always there in the same place that I left it. And there's no losing it. As long as I know my login, I can get to it. And you can always change your password or forgot my password to get into it. So there's no excuses for not following the program anymore because it's always there. You can access it on your phone, on your iPad, on your tablet, on your PC at home, wherever you are. that you have a device that'll connect to the internet and go to Toastmasters.org. So there's no excuses really for people not to follow this program. This is the educational program of Toastmasters International, and you're promised to make your speeches follow that program as a Toastmaster. And if you're not doing that, you know, we have a saying in my district, friends don't let friends give non-project speeches. So we don't have any of that shenanigans going on in my clubs because we just don't tolerate it. If you want to give a speech for fun, go be in the contest. Do a tall tales or whatever. But if you're coming to our meeting and taking up a speaker slot, it dang well better be for a Pathways project achievement. Did I get an amen somewhere? Yes. So my daddy was a preacher, by the way. So that's pretty much the barrier to this is fear. So getting people over the fear by giving a little bit more attention to that one person or persons that are pushing back. Just sit with them, have coffee with them, do a Zoom meeting, whatever it takes to get them comfortable with looking at this stuff and seeing the benefits of how it's going to help them be better, do better. Because really, we didn't come to Toastmasters to be a better Toastmaster. At least I didn't. I came to Toastmasters to gain some leadership skills, to be a better communicator, more effective communicator and leader, and citizen of the world. So if people looked at it that way, they would love coming here and learning all they can learn. And as past president of Toastmasters, Helen Blanchard said, if you can get out of Toastmasters all you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. If you can get out of Toastmasters, all you can get out of Toastmasters, you will never get out of Toastmasters. Because there's always something to do. There's always something to learn. There's always something to teach after you learn it. See one, do one, teach one. And if you're constantly in discovery mode, you're going to be learning all kinds of things and being able to pass that learning on to others. And the joy of watching another person go from that shaky, nervous icebreaker to the district director of your district. Because I've been in Toastmasters long enough to see somebody go from new member to district director. It's amazing. It's so rewarding to be that mentor to those people that are coming up as new Toastmasters and discovering everything that they can get out of Toastmasters. So I want to just tell you today, if you personally can get out of Toastmasters, all you can get out of Toastmasters, you'll never get out of Toastmasters. And if you can spread that joy and that learning and that discovery message to other people, we wouldn't have little member clubs. We'd have so many people wanting to be on the speaker slot and fill in these meeting roles and teach these better speakers and successful club series. You wouldn't have enough speaking slots for them. And people like Gabrielle wouldn't be begging for people to do training at club officer training or training pathways for people that are just getting started in pathways or just discovering the value of pathways. So I would just say, get excited and get other people excited about how we can help each other be better citizens of the world. Not better Toastmasters, just more effective communicators and leaders. So where am I on my time? It's already the top of the hour. I can't even believe it.
Yep. Yep, top of the
So we
hour.
have what, about half an hour left?
Yep.
All right. So what do you want to cover next, Gabrielle?
So what we had on the agenda was to do a little role playing with some situations. I just created out of the blue some situations. I've got 4 rooms, and you can go in those rooms and talk about what would you do to solve some of these situations. So there's low engagement at meetings. President overwhelmed with workload, i.e., there's like the president's doing everything and hardly anybody else is doing anything. Club not hitting recruitment goals, and then conflict with the club leadership. So some things with each. I'm going to let you each bump into a room. If a room ends up with a whole bunch of people and another room ends up lightweight, I might ask 1 or 2 of you to move to even out the rooms. But I'm going to
Okay,
let
I
you.
don't see where I can go to a room.
I haven't opened it yet. I'm going to
okay.
hit that button right now.
All right.
And the button is open, and go
Oh,
hit a
okay.
room.
So they've got the topic
Yep.
at the top. Okay.
And just come up with some answers.
Do you want me to hop into one of those rooms?
Yeah, hop into whatever room you choose.
Okay.
If anybody's
Super.
having trouble, I can push you into a room, but otherwise pick something. Bruce, Janet, and Natalia, can I assign you guys to conflict? They could use some more people. All right. And
yeah, you can move me wherever. I'm sorry, I have a little issue with my computer. Thank you.
I'm going to scoot you up into president. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh, good. Okay, great. Ellen's in there. Janet's in there. Let me go in here. All right. Go ahead.
So do you want to call out a topic and
Yeah. Let me call out. So the I'm going to just start at the bottom because that's the way I do things. Conflict on club leadership team. Who wants to speak from there?
who was in that group?
Bruce, Janet, and Omar. Conflict on club leadership.
Omar had a decent story. I think that Omar, you should tell that one.
Okay, just give us a minute, Omar.
Right.
Go ahead.
Time's ticking.
All right. Here's my story about conflict and club leadership. Now, I want to preface this: it wasn't necessarily a screaming match or any that kind of disagreement. It resolved amicably. But basically, when I was president and I was looking for my successor in 2023, the person we want to support to go up for election. I say election, but it's basically like we generally haven't had like like the election's usually more of a formality. It's more about building a club trust. There's one person who's our secretary who I wanted to be president, and I felt that basically much of the club and the leadership are aligned with me, but there's one person who felt another person would be better suited. So I felt there's a little bit of a conflict there, that they felt like this person would be better suited. But one thing I did is I approached that person, asked them to tell the prospective president, this is just a little bit about their background, their experience. I see the green card. Thank you. As a result, the person who I'd wanted to be president, who was feeling hesitant about it, felt more confident in becoming that president. So they became our club president, even though there's technically like two choices, and I was wanting one. I think there's person is interested, like, well, what about this person? In the end, I felt as arrogant as to say, I mean, it's not totally up to me. I felt that this person has the grace to handle the serpentine nonsense of Toastmasters at times, and also being, friendly and supportive. So I personally feel we picked right.
All right, great.
The next one is club not hitting recruitment goals.
Oh, that was my group. Who wants to speak there? Penny? Wendy?
Penny's unmuted. Go for it.
I was so everybody shared, and I guess it was coming back to inviting people to go look at that club success plan. You had a goal, a target for growth as one of the goals, and you laid out a plan for how you were going to get there. Well, let's go look at that and take some action towards it.
Yeah, make the plan work, make the plan work for you. Yeah.
Any other comments from that room? All right. The next one is president overwhelmed with the workload.
There. I was in that group, and we got off onto a side tangent at first about last year's contests. And Division A did not have a contest last year because nobody was willing to step up and do what was required. We did not have a Division A contest. And so I said, well, that's what happens. You don't have people willing to do the work, nothing happens. So then we got on to the president thing. And first of all, you have to identify, why is the president overwhelmed doing everything? Because you get the control freak who wants to do everything, and then they complain about it. And then you also get the situation where people aren't stepping up for various reasons. One, they don't feel they're qualified, or they're just overwhelmed with their work or family or whatever. So other responsibilities. So my suggestion was, if you have, John raised the question, well, what do you do about the person who's the control freak who wants to drive everything? And I said, well, you counsel or coach that person, and you don't go in and tell them they're doing it wrong. You say, we're an educational organization, and we need to give these other people the opportunity to learn on the job. So we need to delegate to them and let them do it. And if they make a mistake and get it wrong, they learn something from that. If they get it right, great, they learn something from that too. So that was the main thrust of that, is make sure that we delegate so that one president doesn't have to do everything, whether they want to or not.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that all the club officers are committee chairs, and they should have at least 2 people on their committee. And that way, not any one person is in control of a certain event.
I know that's wonderful, but from my experience in our district, I haven't seen a lot of that.
Now, if you only have 8 people in your club, that's a little hard. But...
Yeah, it's hard to do.
All right, what's the next one, Gabrielle?
Sorry, a little coughing fit. I've been doing so much talking today. Excuse me. Low engagement at meetings. That's the last one.
I can speak to that one. I think one of the key things that we talked about there was that Phyllis brought up was asking people directly, so coaxing people. So if people aren't signing up, then that personal touch, and then make sure that everyone's got the idea that you should be going out to the meeting with some accomplishment. So if you've contributed as a timer or you've been in table topics and using that. And then in terms of how you might get people more engaged, it was working on the best way of dealing with mentoring within your club and making it a bigger deal so that when there are successes that people, the rest of the people in the club know about it, don't just keep it between the mentee and the mentor, just
Yeah.
talk about it and then have other people try and model that behavior.
Well, I think we've come up with a lot of great answers to our questions. And now, think about how you, as area and division directors, can help your clubs resolve these same issues. Because you are here to serve those clubs. The district mission, we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. So certainly part of achieving excellence is serving their members and making sure that the programming that we have in our clubs meets what the members are asking for and needing. So how will you implement all of these wonderful ideas that have come out of this session today in the clubs that you serve, so that between January and June, they're adding new members, they're getting more engagement in pathways, and maybe they're even becoming a distinguished club as a result of their members becoming more engaged and more tied to fulfilling the Toastmasters promise that they promised when they became a member. Do you feel well equipped to go do that as area and division directors? Will you set your visits and make sure that you have some talking points around these things that we've talked about today?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, really.
I feel one thing I want to think more about is I think we're talking about like giving other people opportunity, delegating, making sure each club within the area overseer division has rotations that they kind of feel like, okay, you like trying to say, okay, this person did table topics, let's have them take not do it 2 weeks in a row. And
Yeah.
I think like there's also like that can help pair with like modeling. This is what like how I would approach table topics. But another
Mhm.
idea I thought of is also guest contributions, like thinking, okay, who'd be a good person to speak at this club? Or for example, do we have two clubs that are close together? So for example, like Richard Young's Nanomated Club is in my area, and then another club in my area meets down the road. So they're trying to do collaborative meetings. So I think as
Mhm.
area director, division director, encouraging those kinds of meetings as well. See, how does this club do it? How do
Mhm.
we want to take things from that?
Yeah, a speaker exchange or a joint meeting every once in a while, something like that. Well, when you start scheduling your area visits for the second round, think about what are your talking points? Can you get on the agenda to be even the general evaluator of the meeting? Because that's really what your area visit is an evaluation of that club. So maybe you want to get signed up as the general evaluator when you go to visit that club.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then be armed with some announcements that will get them outside of their club. What's happening at the district that they might want to become involved in? And right now, there's a lot of things happening outside in the district, especially with the realignment of the districts. So do they even know that they're going to a new district? Right? That you will be a part of a new district number. Maybe they care, maybe they don't care, but it would be nice to know, what business meeting am I attending to elect new officers for this district in 26, 27? Right. Any other comments for the good of the order?
I just wanted to say I put it in the chat. Most of you have my email. I've emailed you a dozen times in the last couple of weeks. If you have feedback for Pamela, send it to me. I'll compile it so she doesn't get 27 emails. Also,
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I have recorded this, and actually I need to turn off the recording. The only people who are going to get this recording are the other area directors who are not here, and you are welcome to review any part of this recording if you wish. But I will put this out to all of you again so that the people who were not able to make it today or who had to run off to a wedding can catch up.
Right.
I'm going to just stop the recording. If you have questions, go ahead and hang out for a few minutes, but we are done with the recording.